All right, so we're diving deep today into a world where, well, ancient myths and modern encounters kind of collide.
It's a fascinating mix, isn't it? You've got excerpts from these sci-fi thrillers, the Sekret Machines novels, and then research notes on, well, ancient history and mythology.
Yeah, a blend that you wouldn't think would go together, but could there be more to our history and to the nature of reality than we currently understand?
That's the big question, right?
It is, and the Sekret Machines series really leans into this idea of ancient astronaut theory. The stories we kind of brush off as just mythology.
Right.
Maybe they're actually distorted accounts of real encounters with non-human beings.
Yeah, it's a compelling thought. And your sources have some really fascinating examples, like the Sumerian and Akkadian myths about the Apkallu, these amphibious beings, bringing knowledge to humanity.
Sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, very similar to those advanced beings that we see in Sekret Machines.
It's almost a little too close for comfort. And then you've got the biblical story of Jacob wrestling with an angel, a physical interaction with a supernatural being.
Right.
Could it be that ancient people, because they didn't have the vocabulary, the scientific vocabulary we have today,
Right.
interpreted these encounters through myth and legend?
Exactly. Imagine trying to describe, like, a spaceship to someone who's never even seen a light bulb.
Right. Yeah.
They'd probably resort to the supernatural to explain something that seems impossible.
So you're saying what we consider ancient myths could actually be ancient history, just written in a language we don't fully understand.
That's one way to look at it. And your sources take it even further, connecting these ancient narratives to, well, structures like the Egyptian pyramids, suggesting they might be more than just tombs.
Wait, are we talking pyramids as spaceships?
Your sources definitely lean into that idea, calling them resurrection machines aligning with the stars, maybe even facilitating interstellar travel.
Whoa, okay, hold on, I need to catch my breath.
Whether it was, literal space travel or a more symbolic journey of the soul, aligning with ancient beliefs about celestial realms, it's open to interpretation.
Pyramids as vehicles to the stars.
Ah,
That's mind-blowing.
it is.
But it makes you wonder about the true capabilities of these ancient civilizations. Did they possess knowledge and technology far beyond what we can even imagine?
That's the rabbit hole we're going down, isn't it? But it raises the question, how do we even interpret these ancient texts? Are they literal accounts of events or symbolic narratives? And how did ancient cultures view the relationship between science, religion, and the paranormal?
It does seem like those lines were a lot blurrier back then, like they didn't have these rigid categories we do today.
Exactly. And there's a quote in your research notes from Jeffrey J. Kripal. He says, "For both intellectual and mystical reasons, I am unable to draw any sharp distinctions between the real, the religious, and the fictional."
Okay, that's deep. So we're talking about a world where the impossible wasn't just dismissed outright. A world where what we consider real was much more fluid.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this concept that keeps popping up, the phenomenon.
Okay.
It's used as this catch-all term for unexplained events throughout history, from ancient myths to modern UFO sightings, even alien abduction experiences.
Okay, now we're getting into some interesting territory. Were we suggesting that the phenomenon is like a continuous thread running through human history?
That's the question your sources seem to be asking.
That these events, separated by vast amounts of time, might actually be connected somehow?
Yeah. And the Sekret Machines novels, with their portrayal of advanced technology hidden in secret societies and government programs, well, it adds another layer to the puzzle.
Because they suggest maybe we're not as advanced as we think we are. Maybe we're just rediscovering knowledge that was already known to our ancestors.
Exactly. And if that's true, then those stories, those ancient stories about gods and otherworldly beings, they might actually hold clues to a hidden history, a truth about our past that's been obscured or just forgotten.
That's a chilling thought. What if we've been looking at history all wrong? What if the answers to some of our biggest questions lie in the stories we dismiss as fantasy?
And your research notes bring in some interesting scientific concepts that might help connect these dots. Quantum physics, chaos theory, information theory, fields that hint at a reality far more complex and interconnected than we often perceive.
Okay, now we're going full-on deep dive into philosophy, so break this down for me. What do these complex scientific concepts have to do with ancient mysteries and modern encounters?
Well, consider the idea of consciousness. Could it be, as some of the characters in the novels with, like psychic abilities suggest, that consciousness itself plays a role in shaping reality?
Now that's a mind-bending concept.
Right.
But it's not entirely new, is it? Ancient cultures had their own beliefs about the other world, a realm beyond our ordinary perception.
Exactly. What if this other world isn't a place? What if it's a different state of consciousness? Accessible through certain practices or experiences, it kind of bridges those ancient beliefs with modern explorations of consciousness.
That's a fascinating connection. And it makes accounts of those who claim to have had contact with otherworldly beings, even in modern times, a lot more believable. Like Alan Young, the pilot in Sekret Machines. He encounters this advanced technology and faces challenges that push the boundaries of human understanding.
And his story mirrors those real-life accounts of UFO sightings and alien abductions, experiences that often leave people questioning everything they thought they knew about reality. It's the emotional impact, the lingering questions that make these encounters so compelling, both in fiction and in real life.
So what does all this mean for us, the listeners? Why should we care about these ancient myths and modern encounters with the unexplained?
Because it challenges our assumptions about the nature of reality. If the boundaries between myth, reality, and the paranormal are more fluid than we believe, well, it changes everything. How we understand ourselves, our history, our place in the universe.
You've given us a lot to think about, a lot to chew on.
We have.
And for those of you listening, here's something to ponder as we continue our deep dive. If these seemingly impossible events, ancient and modern, are actually part of a single, interconnected phenomenon, what does that say about the true nature of our reality?
What forces might be at play that we're only just beginning to understand? Keep an open mind. Explore the source material. And draw your own conclusions. There's much more to uncover. Let's shift gears a little bit and dig into some specific examples from your source material. The Sekret Machines novels in particular have all these strange occurrences, blurring the lines between reality and something else.
Right, like those unexplained disappearances. Seriously creepy stuff.
Yeah.
You got Timika Regis, the investigative journalist. She's in one location and then suddenly she's somewhere else entirely. No memory of how she got there.
Right.
It's like reality just glitched.
And it's not just her. Jennifer, the wealthy heiress, she experiences something similar at the British Museum. It suggests there are forces at work, technologies maybe, that we don't even understand, that operate outside our current understanding of physics and reality.
It's like, those sci-fi movies where they step into a transporter and reappear somewhere else.
Yeah.
Except in these novels, it's not tech they control. It's happening to them.
Yeah.
So, who's behind it? What are their motives?
Right. Good questions. The novels suggest it's this whole shadowy world, secret societies, government factions, all fighting for control of this hidden knowledge. Some want power, others believe the truth is just too dangerous for most people.
That's kind of bleak, isn't it? The idea that some people think they get to decide what we can and can't know.
It does raise ethical questions about knowledge, right? Who controls it? How is it shared? But it also highlights the consequences of that power. Imagine the chaos if this technology fell into the wrong hands.
Yeah. That's a scary thought. And then the novels introduce this concept, the swarm, this collective intelligence, almost like a hive mind with its own agenda. It's as if there's something non-human pulling the strings.
And remember those strange sensations, that buzzing feeling some characters experience, like a psychic intrusion. It's like being watched or manipulated. That scene with Nicholas, the archaeologist, he's overcome with this urge to find a hidden crypt while he's excavating in Crete.
Yeah, it's both fascinating and creepy at the same time, like something's whispering in his ear, guiding him. And you connect that back to Timika and Jennifer, it makes you wonder, were those disappearances random? Or were they orchestrated by this swarm intelligence?
That possibility is definitely there in the narrative. I mean, they're called Sekret Machines for a reason, right? There's this sense that technology, ancient knowledge, even consciousness, they're all intertwined in ways we just don't get.
Like the lines between those categories are just collapsing, suggesting a reality that's stranger and more interconnected than we could ever imagine.
Exactly. Now, let's look at your research notes on ancient history and mythology. They offer an interesting parallel to the themes in the novels across different cultures. Myths about gods descending from the heavens, bringing knowledge or maybe causing chaos. It's a recurring theme. That makes you take a second look.
Like those Sumerian myths about the Apkallu we talked about, those amphibious beings bringing knowledge, they sound a lot like the extraterrestrials we see in, UFO stories and sci-fi.
Right. And the research notes talk about the other world, this realm beyond our perception, that exists in so many ancient belief systems. Some interpret it as a dimension where those beings reside, accessible through altered states of consciousness.
So are we saying ancient shamans and mystics were tapping into some kind of cosmic internet, communicating with entities from other realms?
Your research notes explore all sorts of theories: quantum entanglement, a universal consciousness connecting everything. But what's interesting is the link to the novels, the suggestion that consciousness might play a bigger role in shaping reality than we think.
Makes you think about those experiments in quantum physics, where observation influences the outcome. What if consciousness, on a larger scale, has the power to, influence events, manifest realities?
Oh, that's a mind-blowing idea. And your research notes touch on another interesting concept: morphic resonance. The idea that information can be transmitted across time and space. Imagine a, universal library of knowledge, accessible through consciousness.
So ancient knowledge, lost civilizations, even those seemingly impossible technologies we see in the novels, could it all be encoded in this cosmic information field?
It's a fascinating hypothesis that changes how we view history, technology, even the evolution of consciousness. It's just we're all connected on a level we're just beginning to explore.
I'm starting to see why you chose these sources. They're like pieces of a puzzle, and as we put them together, a new picture of reality is emerging, one that's more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined.
And it's a picture that challenges us to question what we think we know, to consider possibilities that maybe once seemed crazy. I mean, what's impossible today could be normal tomorrow, right?
I feel like we've fallen down this rabbit hole, this reality that's way more expansive than we thought.
Maybe that's the point of these deep dives, right? To push the boundaries and, embrace the mysteries, the things we don't know. Remember that quote about the lines between, real, religious, fictional, all blurred? Seems more and more relevant now.
It does. And when you consider all this, ancient myths, technology, consciousness, those stories, those personal accounts of encounters with the unexplained, they don't sound so crazy anymore.
Right.
The UFO sightings, the alien abductions, you can't just dismiss them so easily.
The Sekret Machines novels, they capture that, that awe and wonder, but also the fear, the uncertainty of the unknown. The story of Alan Young, the pilot. He encounters advanced technology and these otherworldly beings. It really resonates with those real-life stories.
Yeah, it's the emotional impact, right? The way these experiences make people question themselves, their reality. That's what makes them so powerful.
And what if those experiences, as weird as they seem, are actually glimpses into a reality that's always been there, just beyond our perception? The novels, your research, they seem to agree that the line between our world and the other world is more like a curtain than a wall.
Like we're being asked to, expand what's possible, acknowledge that there might be forces at play we don't even get.
Right. And if we consider that consciousness itself could play a role in shaping reality, well, that opens up a whole other can of worms.
We're talking about belief. The idea that our thoughts, our intentions can actually influence events, manifest reality.
It's not a new idea. It's been at the core of spiritual traditions forever. But now, through quantum physics and other science, it's becoming more mainstream.
So how do we navigate this world where the boundaries of reality are constantly shifting, where ancient myths could hold clues to our future, and consciousness might be the key to understanding the universe?
Maybe the key is to, be open-minded, to question everything, explore new ideas, embrace the mystery, knowing that there's more to the universe than we know right now.
To recognize that we might have a bigger role in shaping our reality than we realize.
It's been a journey, this deep dive. From ancient myths to, cutting-edge science, from the unexplained to the unexplored territories of our own minds.
A wild ride, for sure. I'm left with a sense of, excitement, and maybe a little bit of fear, to be honest.
That's how you know it's real discovery, right? It challenges us, pushes us, makes us rethink everything, and ultimately, we understand ourselves and this universe we live in a little bit better.
And for those of you listening, one last thought. If those boundaries between myth, reality, and the paranormal, if they're really as fluid as it seems, what does that mean for you? What are you willing to explore? What truths are you ready to uncover? Keep an open mind, question everything, and never stop searching for knowledge. Because the universe is full of secrets, just waiting to be discovered.